Welcome back to the channel, my friends. On today's video, we are looking at this 2017 Mini Cooper. Now, on this video, we're going to be replacing the wiper transmission or the wiper linkage system, which includes the motor. And this is where both of your arms connect to for the wipers. Now, my issue here, the reason for replacing is it's broken right at the end here, as you can see. I have the new part here, which includes the new motor. You can see I have the hood off on this vehicle because we're performing other repairs to this. You certainly don't need the hood off if all you're doing is replacing the wiper linkage system. You will need to have these covers off. There's the cowl. This is where the wiper arms come through. This piece sits in the front of it. So both of those pieces are on top of here. Not much holding them. There's a plastic screw here, and same thing on the other end, and basically it's just clicked into this ridge here, and you're able to pop all that off. Now, once you do have both of those cowlings or those covers off, there's only 3 10mm bolts that holds this whole wiper transmission assembly into the vehicle here. Obviously there's a 10mm bolt here. There's one on the other side here, and there's one right below the wiper motor here. Kind of hard to see, it's right behind this wire on the firewall. So we'll get those off, and we should be able to remove this whole assembly from the vehicle. Once you have the 10mm bolts off, the only other thing is disconnecting the electrical plug to the motor and that clip that holds the wire to the motor, which clips in right here on the side. Once all those are disconnected, you should be able to pull the complete assembly off of the vehicle. Now, obviously, you want to compare it to make sure the part you have matches your original part. And looks like we have a winner here. We'll go ahead and get this in position and get that bolted into the vehicle. Now, before you go ahead and install the new part, you want to make sure at the bottom mount on this motor here, there is this metal spacer that's in between. You want to make sure that's intact. Sometimes those tend to fall out. And that goes in from the bottom, just like that. Now we can go ahead and install. So we have the linkage system in place, and I was able to add all 3 bolts are tight. We got one here again in the center, and there's one below the motor. And make sure you make the electrical connection that just pushes in, and that connector will hold the wire to the motor there. Now that that's completed, we're ready to go ahead and put the cowl piece back on, or the cowl cover back on. Now, obviously, you want to line up the holes where the wiper arms go, right onto these studs here off of the linkage system. Again, one here, one right in the center. And the trick to that would be this edge here that's on this cowling will fit right into this edge here at the bottom of the windshield. So we'll go ahead and get that lined up and get that pushed into place. Now, in your case, if wiper motor is the issue and that's what you're replacing, you're still better off replacing this as a whole unit. But you can certainly replace just the motor if that's the issue. It would be easier to just pull this thing out as an assembly. There's one nut at the top, and obviously 2 bolts here for the bracket, and you'll also have 2 more that are linking it to this whole linkage system. So you can certainly replace just the motor if that's what you're looking to do, but it's just a lot easier to replace the whole assembly. I'll put some links to these parts in the description for you. So at this point, I was able to get the cowling or the cover back in. The easiest thing is to start on one end and just work all the way around just by pushing the edge in, and it locks in fairly quick. It went right back where it's supposed to be. You want to make sure the edge obviously is locked in, otherwise you will have water that'll actually go behind it and cause issues and end up down here. Now, I happen to have the hood off for this vehicle, so that made it a little bit easier. It gave me some more room. Now, you can certainly do this with the hood on. Obviously, you'll be working underneath the hood. You can have it, put it in service mode and have the hood all the way up, and you can certainly get to it that way. So at this point, we're ready to go ahead and put the wiper arms on. Here I have the wiper arms. Now before I took them off, I did mark them. This one obviously is the driver's side. You can see they are different. So I wasn't able to film the removal process. So we'll kind of work backwards here. So when I took the wiper arms off of here, I did mark it on the windshield just with the dry erase marker so I know where it sits. So as you're putting it back on, you kind of want it to go in the same position so you're not having it sit too low or too high as you're in the off position. Since these, they just have a little bit of teeth, the knurl that goes on to the studs here. So you want to put it back in the same position. Again, good idea to mark them before you take them off, and they'll go on the stud just like that. Obviously you can flex it to sit up like this here as you're tightening these up. So we'll put both of these on, get the bolts up. So we have the wiper arms with the wiper blades in position. There are two 16mm nuts, obviously on top, one for this and one for the other side. Now, when I remove them, it's not too difficult. So when you're removing them, obviously you just want to undo that 16mm nut right on top. Once you have the center nut off, again, that's a 16mm. You can certainly use some type of a puller to grab it and pull it off, but just using a rubber hammer on the stud while you're holding this up. So just like that, I was able to pop it off with the rubber hammer. We have both our wiper arms in position and tightened up. Don't forget to put your plastic covers back on the bolts on both of them. We can also go ahead and replace the battery cover or the cowling piece. Now that obviously will slip right in to the other cover here. You can see the rubber seal on this. So we'll get that snapped in, and then this seal will hold the front of it. So let's get that put together. Now once you have the piece clicked in and in position, there are studs on the ends. There's one on this end, obviously on the other, which have these plastic nuts. Now you can just hand tighten. We'll get the other one done, and that should hold everything in place. And we also have the front piece on here, and we can go ahead and get this rubber seal back in position to get this held together. Hopefully this video has helped someone out. I thank you for watching.